Get some energy in here. Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for coming to our panel. This is Production Assistant 101, starting your Hollywood career. This is our first time doing this panel here at Los Angeles Comic-Con. First time ever doing this panel was actually at San Diego this year. How many here have attended that panel in San Diego? Oh, we can, okay. All right. So for those who are new here, which seems to be most of you, this is a panel where we basically talk about how to get into the film industry, how to get your door into that industry of Hollywood, how to work in film and television production. And the way to start is usually by becoming a production assistant. But there are a lot of things that go into becoming a production assistant, knowing what to do and which department you want to start in. And that's why we're all here today, to let you know. Does anybody here have any interest in starting a career in Hollywood? All right, cool, awesome. Oh, thank you guys so much for coming here. I'll be your moderator. My name is Paul Zachariah. My pronouns are he, him. I've worked in the industry as a set and office production assistant for shows like Grey's Anatomy, SEAL Team, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And right now I'm working as an actor and filmmaker. Also, my cosplay has nothing to do with the panel. I just happen to be a cosplayer. And this is Mary Antoinette over here. We have a great group of panelists here for you guys today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with...
Hi, my name is EJ. I am a DGA trainee, which is a training program to become an assistant director. Some shows I've worked on are Abbott Elementary for season 2, Unprisoned, and The Rookie, and The Rookie Feds. Just name a few.
Hi, I'm Esra Darwish. My pronouns are she, her. I am the end result of what the training program does. I'm a second assistant director. I've worked on Fast and Furious, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I did The Curse of La Llorona. The most recent thing I worked on that's out right now is Afraid, the anti-AI movie from Blumhouse. But yeah.
Very nice. Hey, I'm Jacob. I was a set PA for many years. I'm also now currently a location manager. As a PA, I worked on some really fun projects. I started in Louisiana, and then through that, made my way out here to LA. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can get started anywhere. Some cool projects though. The best one I ever worked on was I Saw the Light. It's a Hank Williams movie starring Tom Hiddleston. This was around 2014. He is incredible. Really super nice guy. He was loving playing a part that wasn't low-key at the time, so that might have added to it. And then recently, I just wrapped up working with Han Solo, aka Indiana Jones, on Shrinking Season 2, Mr. Harrison Ford. It was really fun. Yeah, that's about it.
Hey, I'm Ken. Pronouns he, him. I've been an office PA, writer's PA, script coordinator, and production coordinator. I've worked on shows like Fresh Off the Boat, Loot for Apple TV, and I'm starting tomorrow on Suits LA. It's like a spin-off of the Suits show. And I'm still doing those jobs.
Nerd. Hi, I'm Anna Tarabello, pronouns she, her. I started as a post-production assistant in the film industry about 8 years ago. Worked my way up to assistant editor, and now I'm currently an editor on Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. I also worked as an assistant editor on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cruel Summer, and lots of other shows as well.
Thank you guys so much. So yeah, as you can see, we have different people here to talk about their different experiences in different fields in the industry as well. And you know, what's interesting about getting into film is that there are many different ways how you can get your start. Whether it's you know somebody, or you happen to apply for a job, or some of the other ways that a lot of they don't tell you is, and I'm going to share with you because it's the way I started, was becoming a background actor. There is a big casting company here, extras casting company called Central Casting. Some of you might be familiar with it. They cast for a lot of the big movies and shows They've been doing it for, I think, almost 100 years now. That's how I got my start, by getting onto different sets for different shows, networking with production assistants and assistant directors to get jobs. That was one way to do it, but also everybody has a different story of how they got in. The first show I ever worked on was Parks and Recreation. I was an extra on that during the final season. And from there, I networked to try to be like, hey, I'd like to become a production assistant. And I eventually got my first set production assistant job on a little show called Community. And then I was able to build up credits from there as well. But that was just one way. And I'm curious to know, how did you guys get your starts in the industry?
I'll take that question first. Mine's, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's great. That's mine. They're going to wrestle it for me. So mine was a little weird. I went to film school in the UK. I worked out there for a few years, and then when I moved out here, I didn't really know anyone. And I found a Facebook group looking for production assistants, and someone posted a job on there the night of the Oscars, but everybody was busy watching the Oscars. So I was the first person to respond. And I ended up working in like reality TV for 6 months. And while I was there, I met a bunch of crew who worked on scripted stuff, and I was like, please take me with you. And I was a set PA for about 3 years. I applied for the DGA training program, and got in, which was amazing. And they shaped me into the AD that I am now, for better or worse. But yeah, that's how I got my start.
I'll go next. Why not? Yeah, sure. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, I just walked onto a set. Sometimes it's that easy. It just all depends on luck and timing and destiny. There was a show happening just down the street from where I lived in my neighborhood, and a buddy of mine who had done background work while we were filming in Shreveport, Louisiana. He was like, hey, they're making a movie down there. You want to go check it out? And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So we walked down to where they were filming, and he knew the guy who was the AD, the assistant director, helping coordinate the stuff happening around the set. So basically, they're filming at a gas station on a street corner. We all know what that looks like. And then you have all these areas, the street, the sidewalk, people in the community, and you gotta lock that down to keep people from interfering with the shot. You gotta let people know, like, hey, sorry, the gas station is closed. You actually don't want to drive in there. The pumps don't work. They're not selling, ices and candy today. So they asked me when I showed up. I met the AD, talked to him, and he was like, yeah, you want to do a lockdown? I was like, sure. I had no idea what that meant. But I was like, this sounds cool, let's do it. So I worked for free for 2 hours. He handed me a walkie and a headset. We call it the BK headset. Looks like you're working at a Burger King drive-thru. You hook it up to a walkie and you just listen. Day one, I'm hearing things, codes I've never heard before. But I did understand we're rolling and we cut. I understand all that. So I spent 2 hours working for free, basically talking to the neighbors as they came up, just asking them not to go into the shot, and talking to them at a distance so it could be picked up through audio, to let them know what we're doing was a great way to distract people. So the AD was really impressed, like, hey, you really handled that lockup well, people seem to be happy, and we got a nice little gathering to watch our filmmaking. And that led to me getting a job later on and getting paid for it. But I just showed up and worked for free for 2 hours, and sometimes it just works like that. So if you see filming in your neighborhood, walk over and say hi. Don't run into the set, don't try and run up to the cameraman, but like ask for someone like me, ask for a location manager, or if there's like a set PA hanging around, like, hey, is there a PA here? Just ask. It's okay to ask. Especially when they're on location, they're in your neighborhood. They can't tell you to not show up. They can't tell you to, hey, like, you can't be here. That's not how it works when there's open public sidewalks and stuff. So don't be afraid to walk up to a production and ask for a location manager to talk to if you're curious about meeting some people. That tends to help kind of weed out someone looking to just get a celebrity autograph. Sorry, that's long-winded. Next.
Hello. Oh, are we going to that?
No.
Okay. Okay. So I started off as a production assistant. I actually met Paul before I started. I moved out to LA. I'm originally from Michigan. Didn't know anybody really. Had no connections for the most part.
I originally started, Paul was like, oh, go ahead, like, hand out your resume, like, you should do background work, pass out your resume. So it's like, great, show up, do some background work. A few times I did pass out my resume to like a PA or an AD, and I was like, hey, if you need people, let me know. And all of them said, don't give me that, I don't want it. So, yeah, so just not to discourage you, but just sometimes different things work for different people for random reasons. So just because it works for somebody one way, it might not work for you, or other way, it might not work for them, but it might work for you, which is totally fine. There's no set direction. So basically what I did, I was like volunteering or PAing for free on like smaller sets to build a resume, and then I started submitting online, and I also used to work like intern at a publicist office so I could get into events and like meet people, talk to people. And I got my first big set PA job. I went to a brunch and I met an AD there, and she was like, oh, hey, come on the show. We need extra people this day. Had no clue anything. I showed up at the wrong call time. Like, it was it was a learning experience, but I did get to PA on Blackish for my first show.
Nice.
So it just takes patience, but you'll get there.
Quick side tangent. I was when I was a writer's PA, we had a brunch with all the writers on Fresh Off the Boat, and our server was like super funny, and they were like, "You're cast in the show."
That's
They just like
amazing.
gave him a role in
That's
the
awesome.
next season. So brunches, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think it's just like
Yeah.
showing up as your authentic self. Like that guy was funny, and they were like, you have some bits, and you come up to me, and we're like on location and give me your resume. I'll be like, all right, I will look at this, but don't come up to me if you're annoying and you don't have any sense.
I was a writer's PA. The way I got there is I did improv at UCB, and Sunday mornings was when all like the assistants took improv. So like I met a girl who happened to be a UCLA alum. I was like currently at UCLA, and she worked at UTA at the time. And then she became the showrunner's assistant on Fresh Off the Boat in like season 2. And then she introduced me to the producer back then, and I emailed the producer every year that the show got renewed for like 3 years. And I was like, hey, I heard you got renewed, congrats, is there any jobs? And the third year around, I guess, I either ground them down or they had openings. So I got an interview and then started working on that show.
I started as a post-production assistant. I also moved out from Michigan. And when I moved out from Michigan, I didn't have any jobs. I did know people. There were a lot of people from Michigan who moved out around the same time as me. But my friend got a job as a post-production assistant, and then her boss needed someone for a different show. So that was kind of how I got my foot in the door, and I was just able to kind of keep that door open just by being a good person and showing that I wanted to be there. But I liked what everybody said, and just that, like, you know, everyone finds their own different way. I think that the Facebook groups, Need a Production Assistant, are a great way to find your way in. For post-production, there are a lot of different groups that you can find your way in. Like there's the Blue Collar Post Collective, and the American Cinema Editors has like a lot of really good programs. But yeah, you just have to kind of find the direction that you want to go in and find those people and make it work.
I just wanted to say one more thing too, sorry. There's no real age limit to getting started either. It doesn't matter if you're 18 or 32. I just want to point that out. It doesn't really matter, you just got to show up and want to do it. Also, another great way to get started, I don't know if we mentioned it, was the DGA training program too, right?
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
talked all about that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Forgive me. Too much sarsaparilla.
I'm also going to second what Anna said about Facebook. I know Facebook is not great now, but I've personally gotten a lot of my crew jobs over the years from joining Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups like, I need a production assistant, or like I need a paid production assistant, or film crew jobs in Los Angeles, a lot of these different kind of groups, and they'll post like, I need this position for this kind of production in this location of LA for this date. Here's the rate. Contact me at this contact information. The trick is to subscribe to their notifications, all notifications. That way, whenever something is posted, you'll immediately see it and you can immediately apply for it. They don't teach you that in film school.
I just want to add one thing. There are sort of like PA boot camps out there.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of them. I think anytime you have to pay someone to learn something that you kind of learn on day 0 on set, it's kind of icky, especially right now because there really isn't much work out there because of the slowdown from the studios.
Yeah.
So I would just be weary when you're looking them up. I think some of them might work, but a lot of them promise you, oh, I'll get you a job on a set and things like that. I'm like, that seems a bit of a scam to me.
Yeah, there's only one PA boot camp I'm aware of, so if you find anything out there, you can just reach out to me on here and ask, and tell me the person's name, and I'll tell you if they're verifiable or not. I have no problem protecting and helping people with that.
Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff on set that you kind of like learn as you go, but it's also important to know these kinds of things before you get on the set, which is actually why we're going to jump ahead a little bit here, and we're going to walk you guys through how the production of a television episode would go. Starting from the writing to pre-production, filming, and post-production. So we're going to start with Ken because he is our writer's guy here. So Ken, how is it in the writer's room? What is the process like of putting together just any episode for like any like of the season? How does that go?
Yeah, so basically we've usually started, I'll talk about like network because streaming is like a little weird with mini rooms and crazy stuff. But network, you usually have about 4 episodes done. You're about 8 to 12 weeks out from production starting. So you can get like a little bit ahead. You start with a blue sky, so the writers come in, they kind of like pitch random ideas based around the showrunner's idea of like what the season looks like. And then they slowly figure out which ideas they like, then they break it down into an outline, and you kind of do that all together in the room. You're like writing on the board. If you have nice handwriting, you'll get stuck at the board. And then after that, they take it away and they make something called a SAD. It's a story area document. And that goes to the studio, and then they say notes, or if they like it, etc. You make some revisions, and then you move into an official outline, which is like a full, probably 8 pages for a half-hour comedy. And then from the outline, you do a revision with all the writers in the room together. Also, this is all pretty much comedy. And then after outline, you go to draft. The writer does it in like, they have like a week to do it. Then you bring it back, you do a revision in 1 day, you table read it, you do a revision after the table read. Then it goes to production, and it's like an official approved draft. Then you start doing a bunch of meetings. So like the showrunners and usually the writer of the episode will go to like a meeting with the producers, the ADs, the director of that episode, costumes, art, everybody. They'll do a concept meeting, kind of talk the ideas. Then they'll do a production meeting where they're more detailed about how they're going to get it done. They'll do a scout to pick any locations they have to go to. And then they'll have a tone meeting with the editors and the director of like, this is how the episode should feel. And then they start shooting like after that weekend usually, so like that Monday. Yeah, that's the process.
So that's what goes into the writing process before the episode goes into the production. And then when it comes to like pre-production, and this is where Jacob, Esther, and EJ come in, as well as getting into production. So talk about what that process is like. Okay, like now the episode is going to be good to shoot. What goes into it, like on the production side, like locations, getting the crew together, the permits, like all that stuff.
We ain't there yet.
Not there yet?
No. So when the first AD is hired, the UPM and the first AD are hired.
What is a UPM?
The UPM is the unit production manager. So they are in charge of hiring the crew and managing, along with the line producer. They're I don't want to say they're not interchangeable. They're 2 very different roles, but the 2 of them manage the money together. They are the boss, and the UPM is the head of the assistant director department. So usually they come up through the assistant director route. But when they're hired, the first AD will break down the script. And by that I mean they will take out all of the elements, like the locations, the casts, any props, any special equipment we might need to make it happen. They'll make a shooting schedule. which breaks down every single scene, every element that's in that scene. Like, it says everything on there. And they'll also make a schedule for the shooting. And they'll take it to the producer, and the producer will be like, yeah, we're not gonna give you 40 days. Bring this down to like 35, and you're like, that's impossible, but okay. And they'll make it happen. So they'll schedule everything. Their key second will start a few weeks after them, key second AD, and they will start getting in touch with the cast. Make sure that they go to their fittings, make sure that they are actually in town, that they know where they're going, what they're doing for rehearsals and everything like that. And another assistant director will come on to handle all the background and hiring all the extras. So there's a lot that the AV department does in prep. Like, the show is built in prep. And then once the first has their plan laid out in prep, the key is responsible for like making it happen. Usually they're working on the call sheet for the rest of the shoot, so they're looking at the next day, while your second is helping the first, as their right-hand person, make the actual shooting day happen every single day. We're the good luck everybody department. So like you lay out a plan, and then you know that a million things are going to go wrong, and you just have to roll with it. And you're constantly figuring out how to keep this entire thing intact. But yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So also with that, so the assistant directors will hire the PAs, which is how we're here. So it's good to meet your assistant directors once you get on set, or if you meet them at brunch, I guess, or anywhere, and keep in contact with them, because they are the ones that bring on the PAs to go on set. And then once you go on set as a PA, it's kind of, sometimes if you're there, some PAs, if you're hired from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, it's called being staffed, you might know what's going on in some ins and outs that other people won't know, but if you just come on for a day or two, you just you might not even know the script, to be honest, but that's okay. You just kind of have to trust your ADs and your team, and yeah, they might tell you to do some weird things, but it's always good to just say, copy that with a smile on your face and get it done. Respectfully.
I want to add, so if you are a set PA starting out on an actual set, you're not in a writer's PA or a post PA or locations PA, you work for the first assistant director. The entire AD team works for the first assistant director, and the first AD works for the director. So everything coming out of their mouth is kind of coming out of God's mouth. So that's why when EJ says, just say copy that and do it, and don't ask for an explanation as to why you're doing the thing. It's because they don't have time to tell you, but you gotta trust where it's coming from.
Sometimes you do get opportunities. You can ask questions. It's always great to ask questions. Just make sure you ask them at an appropriate time. So if you just see somebody standing around, they have a few minutes to themselves, or they're at the lunch line, if they're running around and telling, making sure things are happening, that's probably not the best time to start asking, hey, what's this show about? I know I'm just here today, but just pick an appropriate time. And then luckily, a lot of ADs I've worked with are nice people. They might seem a little intimidating, but they're actually nice and normal people, and they can explain it to you, and a lot of them are happy to teach that. I've luckily worked with. Not everyone, but.
Going off of that though, ADs being nice people, but can come off a little weird. Being direct is not impolite, it is just how it runs on set. You are direct with someone. You listen, you absorb, you do. A lot of times too, it's very much common sense. Terminology can throw you off, but in general when they ask you for something, you just say copy. Hey, just go get food for the director. Okay, just go get food for the director. Then you go see what's on the menu, and you can radio, hey, would they like eggs or bacon? Or are they vegan? Do they have any dietary restrictions? You get all that information. Usually it's coordinated within the fun PA text chain. But a lot of times when people are talking on the walkie, that is to just be direct and communicate, this is what we need, listen to what I'm saying, copy me that you're doing it. That's it. Everything else you can answer usually in text threads, which is really how the PAs bond. It's how you can get away with being quiet on set, because While they're rolling film, the AD's already 5 steps ahead with what they need to prep next, so they're going to text the thread, hey, let the background know that we're ready for them, get them ready after this cut, we're going to send them in. And this is all happening in text. And the background PA is paying attention to that thread, says, okay, we got them ready. All right, let base camp know, actor such and such is going to be ready as well, get them prepped for this as well. So while we're rolling and doing that, other things are happening on your phone. So this is a job that actually requires your phone a lot of time. Keep it on silent. It's a tricky, tricky business. But yeah, background prepping, all that happens on the day of, right?
What about on the location side, Jim?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
Building the show in prep, that's where location comes in. The second AD and a location manager are usually best friends, whether they want to strangle each other or not. They really do rely on each other. It's very important that they have a good communicative relationship because, like Ezra was saying, the AD breaks down everything that's needed, then they're going to put a scout together. Guess who puts the scout together? Where we're going to go, what we're going to look at, the locations department. We go and look at all these things. I didn't realize, as being a PA for 8 years, which is way too many years, by the way, get out in 5, that when I started as a location manager and I was doing my first day of work and I went to my first actual scout, because PAs usually don't go on the scouts, I found out that my department, locations, is the reason why we decide if this is going to be a set piece at the studio or are we going to film on location. And that's when you get into budget and all the other stuff and bring in the UPM, etc. But yeah, we really do build it in prep. And then once everything is finalized in prep and locations has secured everything, the writers have the script, it's all secured, the AD has approved, we know what we need for the actors, where like we're bringing in trailers, we're bringing in restrooms, we need a lunch area, we need a bathroom area, we need a background holding, we need a cast holding. We also need to make sure we have a safe space with tents and air if it's hot for the production team that's going to be there, monitors, cameras, etc., tents, tables, chairs. It's like putting on a party every day. And you got to have all that stuff prepared. Where's Crafty going to land? Crafty's the most important thing on set. I don't care what anyone says.
Snacks.
Yeah, sorry. The craft business is snacks. They give us water, food, chips. Sometimes they sneaky a Red Bull if you ask nicely. Sometimes they hook us up with ice cream. But yeah, so we got to have all that stuff prepared in place. And that's just for one day. That's all for just one day of filming. If we're lucky in a location, you're going to film in the same spot for 3 days in a row. That's really nice. It's kind of like being at the stage. You get repetitive, and so everyone's comfortable. But yeah, that's the gist of it, getting all that prepped and ready, and signing off and approved. And then, of course, when you're day one ready to film, sometimes they change the script 10 more times. And then you realize that the AD now needs you to find this location for this actor because they swapped it out with the other actor, so this previous thing doesn't work. And you're constantly got to be ahead on the swivel, because things are going to change. So not only am I looking for a good location, I'm looking for backup locations. I'm making sure that there are other options that the UPM has seen, and I said, we don't want this one, we want that one, but let's keep this one in our back pocket. You're going to pull a lot out of your back pocket. Sorry, that's it.
No, that was good. That was all good. So yeah, that's for writers, and that's for pre-production and production. A lot of long days on set. They can last 12 hours or more, but a lot of, or 18. But there's a lot of that goes into it. And then of course, when production on an episode is finally complete, then it has to go be edited. It has to go into post-production. So Anna, why don't you walk us through what happens when an episode is finally finished shooting?
Well, first of all, every project is different. But as a general summary, the footage from set comes to post, and the assistant editors will bring it into the computer. The industry standard for editing software right now is called Avid Media Composer. So and there are a few projects that use Premiere as well, but it is mostly Avid. So the assistant editor will bring the footage into the computer and prep it for the editors, separating things by scene. There is something, there's a tool called Script Sync that some editors use that'll line the footage up with the script, so it will make it easier for the editors to consume. So they'll get everything prepped, and then the editor will jump in and they'll assemble the episode. A lot of the times the assistant editor works alongside the editor and does sound design and music and some temp VFX. Really, it depends on the size of the edit team. Sometimes there's a music editor involved, sometimes there's a VFX editor involved. doing visual effects in-house. Sometimes it's just one editor and one assistant, and the editor is doing pretty much everything because the assistant is doing all the technical stuff and paperwork and stuff like that. So it really just depends on the size of the team and what the project is. But once the episode or film is assembled, there's a lot of different notes processes, different stages. First it will go to the director, and the director will have time to give notes, and the editor will address the notes. Then it will go to the producers, and same thing, they'll address their notes. Then it'll go to the studio and the network, and then the episode will lock in its final version, at which point the assistant editor will take that episode and turn it over to all the different departments for final sound design and music with the composer, and final VFX and final color, and promo, and all the things that that project involves. And then the episode will get delivered to air. I did skip it. It does also go to a QC process, a quality check, make sure that everything is good, that there aren't any I was going to say flash frames, but hopefully flash frames would be fixed by then. Dead pixels are a big thing. Sometimes like there'll be a problem with the camera where there'll just be like a little white dot. So dead pixels, boom, shadows that people miss, stuff like that, they'll get out in QC, and then it will go and be delivered. And that's basically it. Post-production assistants do a lot of running like hard drives to places with the final episode, like running the hard drive over for the sound design or stuff like that, and also like picking up lunches and helping with paperwork. Ta-da! Our episode is complete.
So all of these roles are all so nuanced. There's so much to learn. I don't really know, like, how do post PAs, do a lot of people start off on set and then move that way, or like how do you usually get your start, or how do you guys find post PAs, I guess?
Well, like I said, I found through a friend. I think that the best way to find a post PA job is probably through Facebook or through different networking events. Like I kind of mentioned some. Never be afraid to reach out to people. I myself, before I moved out to LA, I actually did one of the production assistant boot camps that you mentioned, which I did not find handy at all. Specifically because I wanted to go into post, and they didn't talk about post at all. So it is like, I don't think a lot of people start on set to go into post.
Yeah.
I do think that some people start in post wanting to be writers, because it is hard to get into the writer's room, and that's one of the things with post, is that we do communicate with the writers a lot because we are the final rewrite. So we do talk. The producers I mentioned that give notes are typically the writer of that episode and the showrunners. So we do have that direct connection. So a lot of people will start in post and then go into writing, or some people start in post and want to be directors too and go that way. Yeah.
And Ken, for a lot of writers or writer PAs, I've known some who started in like the production office. And how does it, do you know what that transition looks like, or like?
Yeah, that is how I started. I was in the production office first on Fresh Off the Boat. But they had told me that they had just promoted their office PA to writer's PA, so it was like, oh yeah, this is a great spot to be in. And then I just like, it was network, so like we had hiatus weeks where like you'd have 1 week that we weren't actually shooting, there was still some prep, but it was kind of light. And during those weeks, they would usually let us have like 1 day off to do like doctor's appointments and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm good, like, can I just go like hang out with the writers? And they were really nice, and they let me, and then like I laughed a lot in the room, and they seemed to like that. So then brought me back the next hiatus, and then like I just tried to get coffees with every writer who would be willing to meet with me between the seasons, and then when it got renewed for the 6th season, they brought me in to be the writer's PA.
Go ahead. I was going to say, like, because the assistant director path, we hire most of the PAs because we usually need like 10 of them if we're on location.
Mm-hmm.
We need a lot of people. And I know if you want to do something else in film, if you're interested in being in camera or in grip and lighting or anything like that,
Or costumes.
it is a good way to get yourself on the set and start talking to all of the other departments to see, hey, how do I move into your world? How do I transition? And you're also showing them that you're smart, because the ADs are we are the meanest people on the set. We're tough.
Yeah.
It's not that we're mean, it's just,
Correct.
there's a rule of like 2 words or less. If it's not 2 words or less, take it to channel 2. Like you are in the first year and we are buoying up everything at all times. But if you're interested in going in these other departments, I would say make your transition quickly after you get on set. Don't waste your time or the AD's time, because assistant directing is a craft. And so if we take the time to train you, we are teaching you our craft, we are teaching you our culture, we are teaching you to become us. And that path is very difficult and very long. So on average, if you don't get into the training program, it can take you about a decade to get into the Directors Guild, which is where you want to be if you want to be a union assistant director and work on bigger shows. So make that choice quickly and wisely, and don't waste your time.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
No.
So, something about that too, it's okay to join and not being a PA. I was like, okay, I did originally, when I first moved out to LA, I was doing a lot of editing, and then after a while I decided, like on my own, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So once I got on set, I literally tried almost everything but sound, because I did not want to do sound. But I was an art PA for a bit. I tried, at one point I did do lighting. I decided that was not for me, but that's okay. So being a PA also lets you dip your toes into other departments to also figure out what you want to do. So if you don't know right away, or you come gung-ho wanting to do something else, then you get on set, or you get there and you're like, hey, I don't really, know anybody in that department, and I decided, oh, I did want to do makeup or costumes, but once I got there and see what they do, I don't think that's really it for me, what I want to do. You're able to at least meet other departments, network with other people, talk to them, figure out what they do, how they get started, and yeah, just try a little bit of everything, figure out what works best for you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll make it quick. I'm really glad y'all both spoke, because I was going to say that exactly what they were saying. It doesn't happen overnight, and you don't have to show up thinking you know what you want to do, because you might show up going, well, I'm definitely going to go do this, and then after you spend a day on set and you see how everything operates and you're just absorbing it all, you're going to change your mind real fast, and you might be thinking on it for a few months and a few weeks. I went through so many different things before I landed on, I just want to not be a PA anymore, and I knew the direction I needed to go was either the props or to the location. Me personally, outside of the business, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be an indie filmmaker, and the locations department was right for me because the title is basically mini producer. We're learning everything that happens off set. I spent 8 years on set. I got that locked down. I need to know how to make a movie. So locations world, it allowed me to learn that aspect. So when you go into this, the PA position could happen overnight, but figuring out where you're going to go within this industry, it's not going to happen overnight. You really need to take your time and just enjoy it and see if you can handle it.
No, but at the same time, like, be honest with yourself. If you're unhappy in a position, if you really do not want to be an AD, pivot, because it's a hard job. It takes so much. We're first in, last out, and it's a skill. We're negotiators, we're actors, we're all sorts of things to make everybody happy and comfortable and give them the space to do their job the best. Like, I like to describe us as, like, if the director's the brain, we're the central nervous system. So if you're not interested in that hard job and you want to do something else, be honest with yourself, figure it out, and don't waste your own time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it took me 8 years to figure that out. I had my book together. That's the term that we use for when you want to go into the AD route without BGA. I had my book together. I was about to turn it in. Even though it sucked, the pandemic happened. It was kind of a blessing because during that time off, that's when I finally realized after 8 years, the light bulb went off and I said, ooh, I don't want to be the AD. I don't want to be that person. I want to make my own stuff, but I still want to get paid and have fun. I'll go the location route. And then I spent a year and a half actively trying to get into locations. Everything worked out for me. Here I am 2 years in. So, like she said, be honest with yourself. Sometimes, for us stubborn folks, it really takes a really horrific situation to make you go, oh yeah, okay, I don't want to do this. So 8 years of my life, I dedicated to AD route. And at the last minute, I said, no, I'm good, I'm going to go this way. And then I had to spend another year actively working on getting that to work out in my favor. So, be smart about it.
I hope you guys all have been taking notes because this is going to be on the test later. This is your PA boot camp. Thank you guys so much. Okay, I kind of have a two-part question here for you guys. So for me personally, one of my favorite experiences from when I was working as a set PA is I started this little daily tradition that I started doing with the cast and the crew, and I call it Paul's Pun of the Day. This was my way to kind of like let people like know who I am, and because I like puns personally, that's like my sense of humor. But I started doing this with on 2 different films that I was staffed on. One was called Malibu Rescue: The Next Wave. It's on Netflix, and the other one was called American Pie Presents Girls Rules. And then this was my way to kind of like, you know, be more comfortable on set with the people who I was working with. Because I remember like coming up as a PA, I was always kind of nervous about like, who do I talk to, like what's everybody's attitudes like and everything. But this was kind of like, by doing this, it turned into some like my favorite moments working on set. Because it got me to like work better with people as well. But I'll share with you an embarrassing moment of mine. I worked on the Rush Hour TV series on One Day a few years ago, and I blew a lockup. Here's what I mean by that. We were shooting in downtown LA by the Walt Disney Concert Hall, and they put me on the corner of the street to make sure nobody crossed into like this big set filled with like ambulances and like police cars. And there was this group of tourists who came in, and they were like, "Can we go this way?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, you can't cross this way. You got to go the other way." They didn't understand what I meant, and they walked into the shot, and I got blamed for blowing that. But and then I wasn't called back to that show after that, but it's okay. I didn't like it anyway. But which leads me to this question for you guys is tell me about one of your favorite experiences working and also an embarrassing moment. And I'm going to start with you.
Oh, okay. Well, my favorite experience on set was I got to bring my parents when I was working on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They got to come to set and kind of got to see what I was doing and got to go meet some of the actors and got to just kind of experience that. Again, I know I've said several times I'm from Michigan, so it was a new experience for them and just being able to share that with them, especially because it was right before the pandemic. And after, when the pandemic hit, I was like, oh, I'm never going to get to work on a set again. So that has become a really good memory for me. I can't think of any embarrassing ones, to be quite honest. I knew that was going to be a question, and I've been thinking about it, and I don't really have anything that's embarrassing. I'm working in post, mistakes happen all the time, and you kind of just have to own them and know how to fix them, and it's just knowing how to fix your mistakes and be responsible for your mistakes. So I make mistakes, but there hasn't really been anything too embarrassing that stands out of my head. Sorry.
Favorite moment for me, I think it was the first show I worked on the Universal lot. Was super cool just because I grew up here in Los Angeles. I went on the tour when I was like 8, and I could like wave.
Me, like Lucy Lawless being an amazing woman and actress, super professional. Nathan Fillion making you feel like not just a coworker but a friend. Luckily, a lot of my heroes have turned out to be decent human beings who are also incredible actors and help provide the mood on set. I worked with a ton of great directors. Joe Dante gave me the best advice ever. He says, "Oh, you want to make your own movies? Don't get in this business." I didn't listen, but he was incredible. But the best day was my first day. I woke up the next morning exhausted, tired, blisters on my feet. My elbow was tweaky. I was 27. And I felt like I had just been run through the grinder. I also woke up after a very small turnaround because as a PA, you don't get turnaround. So I worked an 18-hour day. I had 6 hours from the time I left set to the time I had to be back at set. I was exhausted, and I walked into the double doors onto the stage. So this would technically be the beginning of day 2 for me. And I had the biggest smile on my face, and I loved every fucking second of it. It was great. Sorry for the language, but I loved every minute. And that's when I knew.
So, coolest day? I mean, I've had so many, but the one that comes to mind was we had Seal, like the singer Seal, Kiss from a Rose, Seal, come in for me time, and he told me a knock-knock joke. That man is the smoothest creature on the planet. He is amazing. But in between takes, we were on set, and he had an acoustic guitar, and what did he do? He started playing a little concert for us, and that was absolutely amazing. It was just like wild. In terms of embarrassing stuff, I've done so much embarrassing stuff in my career, but the thing is you just gotta own it. Here's one I did recently. The lighting team put a cable in a doorway and put a wedge on top of it that said, "Do not unplug this." And one of the PAs was like, "Hey, I can't get this door closed because there's a cable in the doorway." I was like, "Unplug it." They're like, "There's a wedge here that says, do not unplug it." And I was like, "Fucking unplug it." All of the lights went off on the set. And
These things happen.
the gaffer was like, "Please explain to me why this PA did that." I was like, that's on me, man. I'm sorry. 100%. I mean, they're like, whatever, don't do that again. But don't, yeah.
I got that. BJ.
Okay, I'll make this quick because I know we're running short on time. I guess best moment? I don't know. The thing that first came to mind was when I got to work on a show for the first time that I really enjoyed watching. I just remember I showed up to set. I was a day player, which is basically you just go when
Part-time.
Yeah, you show up when they need you. That's pretty much it. But as a PA, and I loved it. I loved this show. The cast they were fine for me. I heard the show was it was kind of rough for the people who were there every day. But I showed up happy every day because I was like, I love this show. I love working here. I have a great time, even if some people are not having a good day. So they kept bringing me back, I think, because of part of that, because I was always happy. Mistakes. You make so many mistakes. So many. Some are not that bad, some are pretty bad. The worst, I don't know if I want to say that one, but
Don't say it.
no, I won't say that one.
$5 Friday t-shirt, period piece.
Oh.
Right, no camera. So we all make mistakes.
You're
It's
still
all right.
I'll
PA
say-
in your career, don't say it.
No, I will say there's one. I was a background PA on a TV show, and our second AD was filling in for our regular second because they were gone. So we were moving sets, and we had all these background. And so he said, "Okay, we're wrapped. We don't like the background are wrapped. We don't need the background anymore." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I went to check with the second AD, and I was like, "Hey, just want to check. Like, are we good?" And he was like, "Yeah, get rid of them." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I did not know he meant, get rid of them, like go get them changed for the next scene. I did not understand that. So, and they did not communicate with each other, so I sent them home. And so we start rolling, and all of a sudden the first AD is like, or they're rehearsing, blah, blah, and she's like, "All right, bring in the background, we can set that, like place them." And I was like, "What background?" And so, "What do you mean?" So I take the ADs, and I was like, to the other channel too, and I was like, "Hey, what do you mean background?" And they're like, "Yeah, aren't they coming? Where's the background?" I was like, "I was told to send them home." And it was a hospital scene, so how are you gonna have a hospital with no patients, nobody in the hospital? It's weird. So I basically had to call all the background, because it had only been like 20 minutes, and beg them to come back, and change them over, and we got enough of them to make the scene look good. So mistakes happen. It wasn't some paperwork that I did not read, so always read everything. But yeah, they happened. We made it work.
Call sheet is your friend.
Yeah, it was not a call sheet that time.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was after that.
Before we wrap up, do you guys have anything quickly that you want to plug in, promote? I know we got a few things here.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Third Spaces, but we're doing a screening on the 13th of October of the film A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. For the 1001 film nights, there's a poster here. You can scan the QR code, or I can give you a business card with it on it. It's free. Come through, come watch a film, come see a short film from a Middle Eastern filmmaker. Have a good time. It's at a cafe. They're going to do food specials. Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, they want to talk to me after this outside, I'm happy to talk to anyone, give you answers, advice, whatever I can do. Also, I run a podcast, it's called IPA Sessions. It's a podcast for independent artists. You can check it out right here. Look for me on Instagram, look for me on Spotify, Apple iTunes, all podcast platforms. But if you're an indie artist of any kind, I don't care if you dance, sing, act, film, whatever, hit me up.
If y'all could check out a show called Unstable on Netflix, it's out right now. That would be dope. I was in the writer's room for that one. Will help our numbers. And then coming in November, this show called Based on a True Story on Peacock got a second season. Just worked on that one. A great team. So thanks.
Little inside news for you guys. Season 2. Whoa.
Wizards Beyond Waverly Place will be on Disney Channel and Disney Plus starting October 29th. Check it out.
Nice.
If anyone is interested in becoming an assistant director, even if they have never PA'd, I am what is called a DGA trainee. So if you're interested in that program, it teaches you how to be an assistant director, but it's an intensive application process. If you want to talk to me about that, Ezra also did some of that.
I did.
I'm still in it. She graduated. But yeah, let me know.
Also, guys, me and Ezra are going to be on another panel at 3 p.m. It's called MENA, which stands for Middle Eastern North African Representation in Arts and Entertainment at 3 p.m. in room 407. And you can follow us with our socials over here. Guys, thank you so much for coming to this panel. We really appreciate it. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our friend Sreejith over here for recording the panel. If you have any questions, please talk to us afterwards, outside. Have a great rest of your time here at LA Comic Con.